Hey, Tom Bancroft again, and so this is how to draw a mermaid tutorial number 2, and this one I really want to talk about now that we've addressed mermaid anatomy and just using simple shapes to not only draw the fish part of her but the human part of her. I want to talk about now line of action. Line of action is that concept that we've all heard about, but kind of, if we admit it, don't really understand it all. I must admit, for years, I read books and had the understanding that, okay, you got to create a flow through something, and this has definitely got a line of action to it, definitely an S-curve kind of line of action. But the way we were taught, I believe, wasn't necessarily, let me get a new piece of paper here. I'm using my Wacom Cintiq 32-inch. It's huge, very professional setup, and I'm thrilled with it. I'm also drawing in TV Paint. This is actually an animation software, but I like to draw in it, and then this way I can now go right to another frame rather than a layer, and it makes for a lot quicker drawing and sketching. So here's what I wanted to say about line of action, is that we all understand that it was kind of, we learned it as this, okay, you draw a line, and this is the way the 1, 2 steps, the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And then say this is the line. I'm going to keep drawing it so you can just see the steps. So step 1 was you start with this line, and then step 2 was, I don't know, you start kind of adding the shapes of your figure on there. So say this is a mermaid. Okay, now you're trying to figure that out. Now I don't know what to do with the head, and well, maybe I'll put her arm over here, but now this arm I don't know what to do with, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Just replicating it here now. But how do I kind of figure out? And it feels stiff and unnatural the way I'm kind of approaching this. And so I've really, and then in the end, of course, the last step is it's all detailed and perfect, and you know, everything worked. But what that really was a way for somebody to communicate to us a simple concept of flowing through your drawing, but they were starting with this, draw a curved line. That's not the way we think. Then I had to kind of make up the pose to go along with that. So what I would like to suggest to you guys is to think of it a little differently. Like now, okay, I'm going to start thinking about, I am going to think of a line of action, but as artists, we think of 5 things at once, not just one step. And so I want us to think about line of action and flow, but first think about what we want to do. What is our pose? What's the story we're trying to tell? That's job 1, not drawing a line. So I'm going to say, okay, it's going to be a mermaid reaching for something underwater. So I like to start with the head, because that to me is where my storytelling is going to be centered, as in the face. And so I start kind of reaching out and just figuring out those very simple shapes for that head, and even where the eyes are going to be, and then I start working out of that, because here's the thing, a line of action is really just a cranium shape and a spine, and with a mermaid that spine goes all the way through the fin. So that's the nice thing, is they really are made for line of action, these mermaids. So let's just keep drawing with, now think about that spine going through here, and I'm gonna do it in pieces. So now I'm gonna add the rib cage, and I might start trying to figure out, okay, she's reaching for something. A thingamabopper, and maybe that's her right arm. And again, I'm always thinking of flow, and this will be more of her back here. And then I can keep going with that flow. Now I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to go up with that, and this will be her abs. And then I want to kind of create a whip back here, so I can throw in that big fin. And this is automatically giving me a line of action, but it was more intentional. Right, now I'm going to go, okay, I can move that neck up here more. I might, be tweaking it a little bit as I go, but I'm always thinking about what is my overall flow, but it's based off of what is the story I want to tell. And am I servicing that story with this line of action too, not just finding a line. I'm kind of constructing that line as I go. Okay, and now I can get this tail kind of becoming at us a little bit more too. And of course I still have this nice line of action through there and thrust, but it's right up to these eyes. And this is what I want to show is she's found something. She's super excited about it. By the way, one of our other tutorials is going to be about this what I'm drawing right now, which is eye expressions and mouths. I think I'm going to touch on both of those things shortly. I'm not going into detail. I'm just keeping everything nice and simple because, again, this is a sketch. Sketches are supposed to be just, telling a story and trying to get across your intentions of what you want to draw. So I can always go in and change this and evolve it and then add color later. But you kind of want to be able to make mistakes here. That's what sketches are. Might just draw it darker. I don't erase a whole lot when I sketch. I'm trying to figure things out. So there's a bunch of different ways that I could do this, but right now I'm just going to show it in this way. And so maybe she has found a teacup underwater. So it's going to be kind of on a ledge within this kind of underwater canyon of some kind. Add some seaweed and things like that throughout here. She just discovered this, and it's in perfect shape. Okay, we'll add a little crack. Seems like that makes more sense. So this is that moment right before she grabs it. We might put this other arm out here. So we have a nice line of action, so I don't think we're gonna mess it up too much having this arm. We don't need to see the whole thing. We'll just put it behind her here. And I can kind of, you have to design here too a little bit. But I want it to flow back here because I want it to feel like she's just come up to check out this. And little bubbles kind of help with the feeling of movement. So it feels like she just brought her arm up. So again, let's back up to this and just remember what we just learned about line of action, which is don't just start with a curve. I want to make sure that we're able to, and here's some other poses that we can take a look at. S curves are a big part of how mermaids are designed. So S curves, this is almost, two S curves. This is a C curve, so it's like a very simple, to get this really explosion of energy. Here's a nice S curve here of her, and an S curve here too. And here's another S curve right here. But it kind of flows forward to make her feel like she's gonna kind of push forward as she swims. But really get as much of that as you can. The S curve philosophy, that line of action throughout your mermaid, it really is going to be the number one thing that's going to make your mermaid have extra life and flow through her. And that's all they are. They're 100% flow. So remember S curves.